I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good, especially when it comes to uncovering the secrets of the economy. Welcome back to Marauder's Map to Wall Street. I'm your host, Varnika. Today we are talking about a phenomenon that is hidden in plain sight. It's the reason why your favorite snacks cost much more today than they did last year, and why your savings might be shrinking even if the number in your bank account stays the same. We call it the invisibility cloak of inflation. In simple terms, inflation is the rate at which prices rise. But a better way to think about it is that your money is losing its buying power. Imagine you have 100 gold coins today. If the invisibility cloak of inflation is at 5%, those same 100 coins are still in your vault, but they can only buy 95 coins worth of stuff next year. The money hasn't disappeared, its value has just been eroded. Or imagine you have 10 gold coins in your vault that buy you a high-end broomstick today. You save them, but a year goes by and now that same broom costs 11 coins. Again, your gold hasn't moved, but the buying power has vanished. Usually, inflation happens when there is too much money chasing too few goods. For the S&P 500, a little bit of inflation, around 2%, is actually the sweet spot. It's like a gentle breeze or a helpful headwind for a seeker that keeps the game moving and allows companies to slowly raise prices and grow. But when it turns into a hurricane, the headmasters at the Fed have to reach for a gravity charm of high interest rates to slow things down. Now, there is inflation, of course, but there's also deflation. While most people fear rising prices, economists are often much more terrified of the opposite. Deflation. Think of it as a deep freeze, or even worse, a Dementor's kiss. Deflation is a general decrease in the price level of goods and services. On the surface, this sounds like a win for consumers, but it creates a feedback loop that can destroy an economy. When prices fall, the value of cash increases. If you know a car costs $30,000 today, but will cost $27,000 in 6 months, you delay your purchase. When millions of people do this simultaneously, aggregate demand collapses. This triggers the deflationary spiral. First, there is lower revenue because no one is buying. Companies are forced to slash prices further to attract customers. Second, cost-cutting occurs. To survive lower margins, companies cut expenses starting with labor, which leads to mass layoffs. Third, decreased spending. Unemployed or nervous workers stop spending entirely, further reducing demand. And fourth, we had debt ballooning. This is the most dangerous part. While prices fall, the nominal value of debt, like a mortgage or a business loan, stays the same. Since your income is likely falling, your debt effectively becomes much more expensive to pay back. This is why the Federal Reserve today targets 2% inflation. It acts as a buffer or just enough warmth to keep the gears turning without burning the map down. Now we're going to go into 4 different case studies which compare the effects of inflation, deflation across different time periods. The first case study is the Great Inflation, the fire of the 1970s. To see how dangerous this inflation cloak can be, look at the 1970s. Inflation didn't just rise, it spiraled to nearly 15%. This was the wage price spiral. Because prices for bread, milk, and gas rose every month, workers demanded higher pay. A gallon of gas went from 36 cents in 1970 to over $1 by 1980. Companies then raised prices even more to pay those workers, creating a curse no one could break. For investors, the S&P 500 became a nightmare. Even though companies were making more dollars technically, the value of those dollars was dropping so fast that real wealth was shrinking. The fire was finally put out by Paul Volcker, the then Fed chair who acted like a stern headmaster. He raised interest rates to 20%. It was a gravity charm so heavy, it ended up causing a recession and job losses, but finally stopped the fire of inflation. The Fed today is haunted by this era. They'd rather be too tough now than let that fire start again. The second case study is the Great Depression, the ice of the 1930s. In the Great Depression, which occurred from 1929 to 1933, USA entered a true deflationary spiral, the one we talked about earlier. The money supply contracted by about one-third. Prices fell by roughly 10% per year. Because the value of a dollar was rising so fast, people hoarded cash under mattresses rather than depositing it in banks or investing it in the stock market. For the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones at the time, this was catastrophic. Corporations couldn't turn a profit because their inventory was losing value while it sat on the shelves. By the time the market hit its floor in 1932, it had lost nearly 90% of its value. People thought, why buy a car today if it will be cheaper next month? And that mindset crashed the world. Our third case study is much more modern. This one is Japan's lost decades or the modern freeze, starting in the 90s. After a massive bubble burst, Japan entered a 20-year freeze where prices barely moved. Imagine an entire generation growing up where things never got more expensive. But salaries never went up either. Because there was no heat or inflation to encourage people to spend now rather than later, the economy just sat there, frozen in time. The stock market stayed in a slump for decades because companies couldn't find the growth needed to drive share prices higher. This is why the Fed is so determined to keep that 2% buffer. They're terrified of the ice that trapped Japan for 20 years. Our fourth case study is much more current. In fact, it's as current as last week. This is the geopolitical inflation of March 2026. This is happening right now. The market in the third week of March 2026 is navigating geopolitical inflation. The primary driver is energy. Due to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, specifically affecting Iranian exports, WTI crude oil has spiked to $114 per barrel. This is a supply side shock, which is much harder for the Federal Reserve to manage than a demand side shock. It creates a domino spell in the market. Higher gas prices means it costs more to transport everything, from electronics to even groceries. Companies like Amazon or Netflix face rising costs for fuel and servers, but if they can't raise prices without losing customers, their profit margins shrink. Investors get nervous when margins shrink, which is why the market is currently range-bound or trading sideways. In my research, I used a computer model called Random Forest to see through this fall. A random forest is an ensemble learning method that operates by constructing a multitude of decision trees during training. Each tree looks at a different part of the data and makes a prediction. And the model takes the average or majority vote of all these trees to produce a high accurate result. It is an excellent method of finding non-linear relationships that a human analyst might miss. My model hence defined the triad of tension. First, the consumer price index, the stickiness of prices. The market can handle inflation if it's perceived as temporary, but it becomes a problem when the core CPI stays high for more than 3 consecutive months. What matters then is the job market, the ultimate shock absorber. As long as unemployment stays low, consumers have the income to absorb high prices. And then we have the federal funds rate, the cost of capital. My research proved the danger zone for the S&P 500 occurs when inflation is rising while job growth is slowing. In this scenario, the Fed is trapped. They want to lower rates to help the job market, but they can't because they need to fight inflation. My AI model flagged this stagflationary signature as the strongest predictor of a market correction. According to the Triad model, if unemployment ticks up to 4.5%, the combination of high energy prices and job losses will likely trigger a 5 to 10% market correction. Inflation and deflation are the fire and ice of the financial world. This March, keep your eyes on the data trend, the CPI and the oil charts. It's the only way to see through the fog. The staircases move and the markets change, but the data always leaves a trail. Thank you for joining me for episode 4 of Marauders Map to Wall Street. In 2 weeks, we'll talk much more about the job market. Until then, stay managed.